Good morning. Good morning. We're opening the 5th Latin American meeting of Economics of Energy, Perspectives of Energy in Latin America and the Caribbean, Challenges, Limitations, and Opportunities. We want to thank all of you for being here and participating here. We want to invite you to stand up for our national anthem. To greet those who are visiting the welcoming act. Ms. Marisa León, Master in Business Administrations with over 13 years of experience in the electrical sector. She worked as a commercial manager of Uruguay Electric Administration, and she's the president of the Latin American Association of Energy Economics. Also, Mr. Peter Hartley, PhD of Economics from University of Chicago. He has worked at the Baker Institute for over 25 years in economics of energy, focusing in electricity, but also he has also worked with petroleum carbon, natural gas, nuclear energy, and renewable energy. He's currently the president of the International Association of Energy Economics, IAEE. Mr. Issac Dyner, Doctor of Sciences of Energy of London University, is the Dean of the Faculty of Natural Sciences and Engineering of the University Jorge Tadeo Lozano. He's a founder of the research group Systems and Information Technologies at the National University, and he's currently the Vice President of the Latin American Association of Energy Economics and President of the ELAEE. We also want to invite Marisa León to talk to you. Good morning. On behalf of the Latin American Association of Economics of the Energy, I am honored to speak to you and to wish all of us to have a wonderful Congress in which our global and Latin American relationship in terms of knowledge and relationships will be strengthened more than ever. I believe in 2014 when we were preparing this conference in our preparatory meeting, it was clear what our position was as the Latin American Association, and it's exactly this one, strengthening the ties, the professional ties of the sector, and to share knowledge. And so, thank you very much, all of you, for being here. Enjoy this Congress. We will learn a lot. This is an opportunity, a very valuable opportunity, and welcome. We want to invite Mr. Peter Hartley to speak to you.
Good morning, and I'm very pleased to be here. We in the city of Eternal Spring. It's a wonderful climate you have here. Being on the equator, I guess, very just throughout the year, but given the elevation, we have nice, cool temperatures. It's very beautiful soil we noticed coming in from the airport. Lots of trees, agriculture, very green. It's a wonderful city you have here. I know that you had gold here in the past too, as well as this sort of wonderful agricultural assets. And from our perspective, we have energy resources nearby. I know you have hydroelectricity and coal. So it's a wonderful place for us to be meeting, and we thank particularly our hosts. And I pay special attention here to Issac and Laura, who've done a wonderful job for us putting on this conference. And we also understand that we have maybe 180 registrants to the conference, and it's been a wonderful success financially. We had yesterday the meeting of the Latin American Association for Energy Economics, and it was a very exciting meeting. You have lots of plans, a very young and vigorous branch of the International Association for Energy Economics, and they have lots of plans in place for lots of exciting things, including perhaps an intensive energy economics course, which was of special interest to the International Association because it fits in with our plans for developing these courses. Another interesting thing we learned yesterday was that one of our own members of the Latin American Association, Gerardo Rabinovich, has translated this book on energy economics into Spanish. So you have a wonderful book now for all the students here in Latin America who are studying energy economics, and it's a great task that he did. He told me he spent about 1.5 years translating this book, originally written by Hansen and Percebois. So there's a lot of exciting things going on here in Latin America. The next ELAEE conference is going to be held in Rio de Janeiro in 2 years from now. I'd also like to take this a few moments to say a few things about the IAEE. We had just conducted a survey of our members. I hope you all sort of took part in that survey and answered it all. I'm sure you all did, because you're all here anxious participants in the conference, so I'm sure you participated. But one thing that we were very pleased at in that survey result is that we had some very good feedback on our publications. The percentage of our members who are reading our publications every time, or most times, has gone up. The percentage of people who think that our publications are biased has gone down, so we're very pleased with that. But of course, we're always working hard to improve the quality of what we're doing. Another thing that we were very pleased at with the survey results was the quality of the website. So we've had a much bigger percentage of people being able to find everything they want to look for on the website, and we've had a reduction in the percentage who couldn't find what they were looking for. So we're very pleased with that as well, and we're continuing, however, to invest in our website. I know from the students, the young people, they suggested our website was a little bit old-fashioned. And we're trying to appeal to the younger generation as well with some of our electronic communications. One last thing I'd like to mention before I hand over to Issac. I'd like to sort of mention some of the upcoming IAEE conferences. The next one is in Antalya, Turkey, is going to be our next international conference for 2015, held from May 24 to 27. Its title is Energy Security, Technology and Sustainability Challenges Across the Globe. I believe you have until the end of this week to register. So, but it's a wonderful place for those of you who haven't been to Turkey. Great historic sites, wonderful climate as well, and on the Mediterranean coast. The 33rd USAEE IAEE North American Conference is going to be held at Pittsburgh in October, from October 25 to 28, and the title is The Dynamic Energy Landscape. And for those of you who don't know, Pittsburgh is right next to one of the major shale gas and shale oil producing areas in the United States, the Marcellus Shale. Plus it also, of course, had a long history of involvement with the coal industry. And people may not know nuclear as well. So lots of interesting sessions there, and a lot of discussion about well, as the title says, the dynamic energy landscape, the changes in the energy industry that we're seeing right now. Then the 5th Asian Conference is going to be held in Perth in Western Australia from February 14 to 17, 2016. And the title of the conference is Meeting Asia's Energy Challenges. And of course, dramatic growth in energy demand in Asia, China most recently, but prospectively in the future, India and maybe even Southeast Asia, countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, is going to be a major factor in the coming couple of decades in energy markets. So this is the sort of topic of that conference. Then we have the 39th International Conference, held in 2016, is going to be held in Bergen, Norway, from June 19 to 22. The topic is Energy, Expectations and Uncertainty, Challenges for Analysis, Decisions and Policy. One thing that I find very interesting about that title is that the IAEE is trying to form closer relationships with an organisation, the Global Association for Risk Professionals, I think it's called. And so a conference that's focusing on uncertainty and decision-making under uncertainty will really tie in with that initiative. Then the 34th USAEE IAEE North American Conference is going to be held in Tulsa, Oklahoma from October 23 to 26 next year, and the title's Implications of North American Energy Self-Sufficiency. So we have lots and lots of conferences for you all to submit your research to, and I urge all the students in particular to keep all these conferences in mind. Watch for the submission dates. Put in your work for the best paper competitions and the poster competitions, and I think it's a wonderful way for the students to prepare for going on the job market, to come and give seminars and present posters and so on at our conferences. And of course, winning those prizes doesn't really hurt either. So I hope you all take part in all those conferences. I think that's probably enough from me, but again, I'd just like to say, once again, thank you very much to the organisers for this conference. Done a wonderful job, and we're looking forward to the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
Invitamos al señor Issac Dyner para que se dirija a ustedes.
Good morning to everyone. This is going to be between English and Spanish during the mornings, so perhaps you have to get used to it. The idea of my presentation for introducing this conference would be a few words about what we're going to discuss during the following 3 days. And it's to do how fascinating it is for us to confront the new challenges. The energy world is changing, and it's changing not smoothly. And this is very interesting for us, because we are confronting for me, two different aspects that will be dominating our discussions. One is to do with the environment, and this is to do with the human intervention on Earth, and the other one is technology shifts. And both are incorporated in this world that we invented about 25 years ago regarding new models of markets, new market models, and transform the way we see how electricity is supplied. And what is interesting about this is that the way this is affecting countries is different everywhere. For example, in Latin America now, we're going through a period of droughts, apparently, in some parts of Latin America. Colombia, specifically, is supposed to be very dry. We have reports that El Niño is with us, and El Niño in Colombia means drier periods of weather, and this affects very differently in Argentina. For example, in the north of Argentina should be more floods. So this is not what you get in North America or Europe, and the effects of this is different from the effects of climate variations elsewhere. More vulnerable people are being affected in Latin America because of this, in terms of displacements, in terms of food supply, agriculture. And this is very important for us to incorporate in our analysis. Our analysis is different today, and technology is another addition to it. Technology, where in Latin America we used to be very reluctant to renewables, and this has not been the case anymore. Why? Because of costs. And we see now in Latin America, Brazil, for example, moving very fast into renewables, Mexico, Uruguay, Chile, a number of countries, Central America. And 5-10 years ago, we didn't think about this. So all of this is posing challenges for us, how we're incorporating this into electricity, and this is being incorporated into electricity is not smooth. And we'll see. We have seen electricity, oil prices falling down 50%. And electricity is affecting, and this is affecting electricity prices. And we see how share prices in Europe of few of the major companies. And this is something for us to think about. So the reflections, the discussions about how to incorporate this and what is the meaning of this would be very vibrant, I think. And so we're welcoming all of these discussions during the next following days. So all of you, welcome for this, and thank you very much for coming to Medellin for this conference. From now, this is the starting of the conference in the first plenary session.
Concluimos el acto de bienvenida y apertura del quinto encuentro latinoamericano
of the fifth meeting of Energy Latinoamericana with the notes of the Antioquia Department, the state anthem for the Antioquia state.
sentarse. Ahora damos.
Now we will start the inaugural plenary session. International Arrangements for Sustainable Energy Developments in Latin America and the Caribbean, ELAEE. We want to invite Dr. Issac Dyner, who will be leading this session. He will be speaking to you, and Mr. Ronaldo Bicalho, Gerardo Rabinovich, and Sergio Adolfo Montoya to join us at the stage. Each participant will have approximately 20 minutes for his intervention and 15 minutes at the end for questions for the three panel members. During the talks, we will be using 3 signals to indicate the remaining time to finish the presentation in this way. Green means 10 minutes left, yellow means 5 minutes left, and red means time is over.
So for this first plenary session, we have these 3 speakers. The plenary is about institutional arrangements for sustainable energy development in Latin America. First, we will have Dr. Sergio Adolfo Montoya, and he's the manager of R&D at EPM, which is one of the major utilities in Colombia. Second, we will have Ronaldo Bicalho, and Ronaldo is a doctor from the University of Federal de Rio de Janeiro. He's a professor at the group of energy economics at the Institute of Economics at the Federal University of Rio. And the third speaker would be Gerardo Rabinovich, and he's vice president of the Energy Institute of Argentina, and a coordinator of, academic coordinator of ELAEE. So he's responsible for the program that we're having in this conference. So first we have Dr. Montoya, who is going to address you on this issue.
Gracias. Good morning. First of all, on behalf of the General Manager of EPM, who unfortunately could not join us today, I want to welcome all of you, especially the international attendees. We hope this session and the experiences that you developed during this meeting are very successful. Dr. Marisa León, welcome, and thank you very much, Dr. Peter Hallen, for having chosen Medellin. We hope this event and this city meet your expectations of what you are looking for and developing. Welcome, all of you. The idea for this presentation is to show and present to you the history of EPM as a special case around the energy economics topic. As Issac was saying a minute ago, this topic right now is very popular, and I think for all of you as economists and this topic, you are enjoying yourselves analyzing what's happening in the world right now, all the drivers that are driving these changes and all the different changes in the world. Welcome. So we will start our presentation.
Our slogan is we innovate for the service of the people, and although EPM is a company that is very traditional, EPM is also a company that is at the end of the day very innovative. It is a relatively traditional company, but with the standards and canons of traditional companies are different from what we have. It can be a little bit complex, but in reality for us it's very simple. We're going to see how the growth of EPM has been, and between all of us we can speak about how the future is going to be. Present is not really that important. What is more important is to develop a model of a company that is different, that is special, to have a north, to have a future based on analysis and based on economical theories that can support this model that we're speaking about, that can help us again develop and sustain this type of model. Company was born in 1955, EPM, after a study promoted by the International Development Bank, IDB, and that study concluded that joining different utility services, meaning electricity, water, and telephone services, that study determined that the three should come together to generate synergies. And this is how the company was born. The only contribution that the municipality has given to EPM, it gave the assets back in those days. And from that point on, the municipality has been receiving income from EPM. Since that moment, we consolidated a company that was based in three elements that determine its philosophy. The first one is technical rigor, judicial and financial rigor, those three rigors, and we can add administrative rigor. In other words, a management with high levels of transparency. And those determined the company and brought the company to a spiral, sort of like a positive spiral, where the community began to recognize the qualities of the company and began to look after what the company was doing. Approximately 20 years ago, so again, this was a company that was consolidated as a local company for the city of Medellin to render utilities, home utilities in the city of Medellin, to do this with quality, and we also wanted to increase coverage back in those days. Once the company was consolidated, we had the reform of the electrical sector. Mrs. Thatcher was ordering the world. What we needed to do was telling the world that we had to change our economic models from state monopolies to open markets and to privatizing. So these were two elements that merged into one. To us, they were different monopolies, which were seen as bad, whether state monopolies or private monopolies. I mean, they're bad for us. And privatizing. The experiences that we had until that point with bad management of public companies. At that point, 20 years ago, we participated with what we call the Commission of Regulation, CREG, and we worked with them hand in hand in the structuring of the new energy sector in Colombia. We were never opposed to it. We understood that it was necessary to restructure the energy sector, and we knew that we had to work to fix those problems. This is how, with the different committees, we developed two basic laws. Law 142 of public services, home public services or home utilities, where we eliminated competition between monopolies and also generated a space for the private sector. This gave an opening, not a mandate to the private sector. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just simply explaining what this is, and I think it is interesting to allow the acting from private actors also. And based on that, we promoted the creation of that new sector. From that, we wanted to privatize the sector, although we were opposed to that. And we were able to continue with these public companies in the public sector. EPM accepted it. EPM transformed itself and embraced and accepted this competition model. So again, this was accepted, and we began to act along those lines. And this is how EPM began to grow and began to take advantage of different privatizations that occurred in the public sector. And we began to buy energy companies. And this is how we have now, or we had the largest share of the Colombian market, 25% of the energy in Colombia. So we have purchased, first we purchased the original company that served the Department of Antioquia around the city of Medellin. And then we went into the estate or department of Caldas, Viejo Caldas. We bought Czech and EDEC, two companies there. And then we went to Santander and Norte de Santander, another two departments or states. And this is how we have had access to those markets. And in terms of energy generation, we also have the largest share in Colombia. We, in other words, made our plates full very quickly, and having sufficient economic, technical, and capacities, we began to consider what we needed to do. So we took a risk. We dared to look for international projects after that. And after that, we began to work. We began to take advantage of this reverse wave. This reverse ways, many international companies had come into private companies in Latin America. So these were circumstances that we had to take advantage of. These companies wanted to leave, so we went into the market in Panama, in Salvador, and in Guatemala. Again, there we bought energy distribution companies, and we have continued expanding over the years. We're going to see it. This is the mission and the vision of EPM that we just passed. This is the mega that we have as of that point. Since the year 2013, we have the vision of continuing to grow in terms of international expansion or expansion into new businesses, where we proposed, where we want to go from 6.95 to $16 billion by the year 2022 with an EBITDA that is to go from 2.11 in the year 2013. We want to go to 5.5 in the year 2022. Our growth strategy, again, has been mentioned before. We began with Guatemala, Panama, and Costa Rica, and then we moved into, there we enter with distribution companies, and then we went into Mexico with a different activity, completely different, that potentializes us in terms of new industry models. And this is a model based on companies for treating residual industrial waters, wastewaters, and urban wastewater. So we're entering that new business that is enabling us to develop engineering processes about those topics. And in Chile, we also enter with wind energy, aeolic energy, 110 megawatts. So this is how we enter in this model of renewable energy, which is now in a boom that we're trying to take advantage of. And it is also important, each market has different drivers. Chile's driver for an aeolic plant is different from a driver that we may have for that same aeolic plant in Colombia, wind energy plant in Colombia. Different considerations, different markets, and we have to analyze those things. We want to go into Brazil. We want to continue growing in Costa Rica. We want to enter Peru, and we do have interest, of course, in growing our Latin American markets. The most recent achievements is the constitution of EPM Chile. This was done in March 2013. In Panama, we had a renovation. Our license to provide services in Panama recently expired, so we renewed it. We also bought Tixa in Mexico. We went into the business of solid waste, urban solid waste. We bought Empresas Varias in Medellin. Empresas Varias is the company that manipulates waste in the city of Medellin. And again, we're also looking to provide this service in other places. So the idea is to make the service more efficient in our city and to take advantage of that experience to grow that segment internationally. We are also looking for alliances with the government of Costa Rica. We're trying to create a franchise in Costa Rica for EPM. The question is, as you can see, we're growing quite a lot. Our growth approach is very specific in terms of looking for traditional companies in terms of utilities, basically distribution and generation of energy. Energy generation, we are sort of like in fashion. We're working with aeolic energy. In terms of distribution, the question is, can we be at peace both nationally and internationally concerning the acquisitions that we have had? So the question is, the answer is yes, we can be at ease because we have been relatively successful. Issac mentioned directions such as environmental awareness, non-conventional renewable energy and new technologies, more demanding conditions for these new projects, both for energy generation and distribution of energy, and an impulse to energy efficiency. So the second question, or the third question, is how do we respond to these challenges? Obviously, it is necessary to try to determine the impact of all these reforms. These things have been done in the past in the US and in Europe. Fortunately, they are coming at a slower pace in our countries. And of course, we have to not only analyze the situation, but we have to work proactively for the creation of the new businesses. We're also going into solar energy, a new business for EPM, ESCOs. But we need to continue working. There is also incumbent businesses that are going to be impacted. Businesses of distribution and networks, what is going to happen to them? This is a big question, a big concern, and that problem or that issue is being handled with Issac, with the National University of Colombia, with experts. So how are we going to respond with these incumbent businesses in terms of these changes that are happening in the market? Hopefully, out of this summit, we're going to develop very effective strategies so these network businesses can save themselves or adapt themselves to this new environment. We are thinking as to how we can increase demand. For us, electric energy is sort of like an immediate response. But we're also asking ourselves, what else can we do with this network businesses? What models, what innovative business models can we create to do this? Because so far we have not seen them. Based on our international experiences, we have seen that countries have tried to prevent the entrance of these new technologies. There has been no proactivity in terms of restructuring the business and taking advantage of these humongous assets that we're discovering. How we can take advantage of those assets in a different way. I hope we speak about this topic during the summit. I hope we develop some responses so we can adapt ourselves to these new environments in a very productive way. In addition to these elements, we are trying to create a future directioning of our research, environmental awareness. Again, how to respond to these new changes, our research and R&D process was created many years ago, and we're working in different topics such as non-conventional renewable energy, biotechnology, obviously sustainable mobility, non-conventional solutions in waters, and the handling of solid waste. I also mentioned energy efficiency. This is because we're looking for new industries, new business models, and obviously we are also working for the improvement of our current businesses and for the promotion of the growth of those current businesses. We have some business cases that I will present. Again, electric mobility is basic for us. We're trying to promote, along with other energy companies in our sector, we're trying to promote these electrical vehicles. We recently bought 10 vehicles 2 or 3 years ago. Unfortunately, there are no proposals in the market for new electric vehicles in our market. They do not look at us as a priority market. The idea is to bring this electric mobility in Colombia with motorcycles and with cars, with bicycles, etc., etc., etc. Everything that is electric mobility for us is basic. We want to grow in that market. Looking long term, we are also working with EAFIT University in the development. We competed in this global challenge in Australia. We were freshmen. We developed this car 13,000 kilometers in the Australian desert. We want to continue competing to develop our technological capacities to be able to continue creating that new model of sustainability of our business. With regards to social responsibility or corporate responsibility, this is very basic for us. We have this model of prepayment model. This is for people with low incomes, people whose services are about to be cut off. We can change their payment models because they do not have the capacity to pay these monthly bills, but they perhaps may be able to pay, say, for $1 worth of energy, and this is how they do it. We have what we call prepaid cell phones, where you can go to any grocery store, buy a pin, and introduce that pin to your cell phone and add minutes minutes. And you can do the same thing in terms of energy. They can buy energy based on their economic capacities. We developed that business model, and at the same time, we developed those meters. These meters that we're looking at right now, they were developed here in Colombia by EPM and a local provider. And the idea was to, again, give economic viability to the prepaid business model. The only reference that we had for those meters came from Africa, and they were very expensive in Africa. So, we developed this locally with our local characteristics at very competitive prices, and we were also able to reduce prices from African vendors. They reduced their prices 50% based on our low prices. Also, another model that is important for us, development with a group of local companies. They developed this project, and this is the development of what we call a solar kit. This is a solution for places that do not have connectivity to the market, to the networks. These are usually very poor places, and we bring them not only energy, we bring refrigerators, televisions, public lighting, cell phone chargers, and more important than everything that I have said, we also bring them a system for purifying, for cleaning their water. So more than a solution, we're bringing complete well-being for these communities that are in so much need. This is very important in what we call the post-conflict. We believe this is a solution that is going to be basic for the post-conflict era in Colombia. These are some ideas. Thank you very much for listening to us. As I said before, we hope we develop very innovative, vibrant ideas during these 3 days. Not only to develop new things, but also to be taking care of what we have in terms of our traditional companies.
Before we move to the second speaker, please note that translation into English is possible, and so you can have the headsets outside for those of you who want it. The second person on the panel would be Ronaldo Bicalho, and he would tell us his view on institutional arrangements for sustainable energy development in Latin America.
Bueno, mi presentación. Roberto. Esto acá. Sí, gracias. Ok, y paso acá, sí, ¿no?
Sí.
Ok, gracias. Buenos días.
Good morning. I'm going to speak about the energetic context and institutions. When we speak about the context, the energetic or the energy context, nowadays we speak about the trade-off. A trade-off. We're speaking about a trade-off, between energy and the environment. These trade-offs, when we speak about this energy context, we're speaking about a conflict, again, between the trade-off between energy safety and climatic changes. Energy safety or energy security is a topic of the energetic policies. It's an objective to provide enough energy necessary for the well-being of our societies. That is a policy. Climatic change is a topic dealing with global warming, with policies regarding the environment. The idea is to mitigate the effects of the processes. So we have two problems. One problem, again, is energy policy. and the other is a problem that deals with environmental policies. These two problems become one via fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are responsible for 80% of the consumption of energy, and at the same time they represent 80% of the total emissions. In this situation, solving a problem is making other problems worse. Currently, what we have is a contraposition. Energy transition is perhaps the building of this convergence. Nowadays, when we're going to fix a problem, we make the other problems worse. So the question is, how can we create a situation in which we can fix both problems, environmental problems and energy problems, coming out of the situation today of a situation of an economy that is based on fossil fuels, and to move towards an economy that is based on renewable energy. This is a process, a very long process, a transition process, where this convergence is the result of a process, a building process, a technological building, an institutional building process. But when we speak about trade-offs and cost, and we speak about the environmental costs, for us, environmental costs are the negative impacts. If we increase a participation of coal, the energy matrix would see an increase in terms of energy cost. When we, and vice versa, impact in terms of accessibility, in terms of availability. In other words, if we increase participation in terms of renewable energy in the energy matrix, we're going to have environmental costs that are going to be less. But if we have we will have higher energy costs in terms of prices. This is the trade-off that I am speaking about. The first thing here is that we have to recognize that there's a trade-off. Currently, there is a conflict. Currently, there is a juxtaposition, a contraposition between these two sides, and recognizing it's not something easy to do. Well, in the process, we have to recognize, so we at the end are able to reach a reduction of the trade-off, a reduction in which it is possible to reduce CO2 emissions without increasing energy costs. We're almost at the end of the process, and the final objective is the reduction of the trade-off. But in the meantime, it is necessary to manage this trade-off. This energy transition process is a process that mobilizes resources. To conduct this energy transition, we need natural resources, technological resources, economical resources, organizational resources, and institutional resources. And of course, political resources, they are the most crucial. These political resources are those that are really capable of mobilizing all the other resources, okay? The question is the following. Recognitions are different. I do not believe that a Democrat, an American Democrat, or an American Republican recognizes or perceives or has the same perception that we have about this trade-off. I do not believe that a person from the US or European or from Europe, I do not believe they have the same perception of the trade-off. And it's the same thing inside our societies. Economic agents and social actors have different perceptions, and they recognize this trade-off in a different way. Of course, the administrations, political administrations, the administration of the conflict, the administration or management of the trade-off, this management or administration is not the same. It changes from country to country, and reductions, of course, are not the same in different countries. What I am saying here is that these recognitions are different, administrations or managements are different, reductions are different. Of course, we have transitions that are different. we have many possibilities about the different transitions that have different needs. The need for these transitions is not the same. The content is not the same. The rhythms or speeds or velocities are not the same. So what we're speaking about different transitions. And when we speak about different transitions that are possible, I believe two topics are very important. Two topics would be very important. They're sort of like the framework to define the possibilities of the transitions. I believe the first framework is the technological framework, technological management. Here we have two trajectories that are possible. The first trajectory is maintaining the base of the resources. In other words, to reduce emissions without increasing energy cost, but without changing the base of the resources. In other words, to keep fossil fuels. Two types of technologies are fundamental to reach this objective. The first one is the capture and the storage of carbon. It is very difficult to imagine that carbon is going to maintain its participation in the energy matrix without advancements in the terms of this type of technology. And the other technologies are very important advancement in technology. In other words, we need technologies that are more efficient. I'm not speaking about energy efficiency. I'm not speaking about the dysfunction or the functions of technology that we currently have, the engines that we currently have. No, I'm speaking about radical advancement in terms of production, transportation, and use of energy to keep the services that we currently have based on fossil fuels, but consuming much less of those fuels. So we can do that. We can maintain the base that we currently have in terms of services. The other option is to change the base of our resources. In other words, to reduce emissions without increasing energy cost, but changing the resource base. In other words, to introduce renewables. The main thing here is the intermittence. The issue here is to provide renewable fuels with the attributes that fossil fuels currently have. In summary, I think the most important is the liquidity, energy liquidity. Currently, with fossil fuels, we have the energy that we want, whenever we want it, and in the place wherever we want it. But because with renewable fuels, this is not possible. Therefore, the two technology groups that we currently have is storage technologies and provisioning technologies. To be more flexible in terms of provisioning, the objective here is again to provide liquidity, energy.
So we have technologies of the battery, the compressed air, hydrogen, and then the flexibility, increasing the scope of the networks, the predictability of the other ones and the behavior of the renewables, high tension modelization about the behavior of the wind, etc. So that's the technological progress that can allow for a progress in the energy transition. But the other important thing is the institutions, the political administration of this. For those technological progress, we need to mobilize resources. And because we have the incentives for renovation, this is an institutional decision, because what technology are we going to incentive? What companies are we going to incentive? So there's just a big argument about this, and this is an institutional topic. But well, as the costs are not reducing, we have to manage the disbalances. We have to implement incentives and sanctions. Incentives for the renewable resources, for example. What's happening here is this is a institution that is institutional. The renewables costs are up here, the fossils costs are down here. So if I implement sanctions on the fossils fuels, the cost will increase. If I add incentives for the renewables to reduce, we'll be creating a balance where competition is the source of institutional. We're talking about cost and benefits. The issue is who is going to keep the benefits and who is going to get the cost. So there's a political decision about this distribution. Who is going to take care of the costs? Is it the taxpayers? Is it the users? Or what type of users also? Who is going to get benefits? Is it going to be